Once upon a time, there was a girl named Little Red Riding Hood who lived in a small town between the big city and the forest. Her name, Little Red Riding Hood, came from the bright red hooded coat she wore every single morning. Little Red Riding Hood was seated at the breakfast table, simultaneously playing music from her phone and sending a message to her grandmother. "I'll stop by today, Grandma. If you bake that famous cake of yours, then of course I'm coming," Grandma replied in big, bold letters with lots of heart emojis. "Oh, of course I did, darling. I'm waiting here for you." Kermazi couldn't help but burst out laughing. "All right, Grandma, I've checked the map. I'll take the forest path with my scooter, and the weather is just wonderful." Her mother's voice echoed from the kitchen. "My dear daughter, please be careful. The internet might not work in the forest." As Little Red Riding Hood was putting on her headphones, she replied, "Okay, Mommy dear," and then grabbing her backpack, she walked out the door. The sun had risen quite high. He jumped on his small red electric scooter, then entered the forest path. The wind was blowing through his hair, and bird songs were accompanying him. At one point, he even opened his phone's camera and took a selfie. She murmured to herself, "The forest path is on the red road." As she walked deeper into the tree's shade, she heard a rustle. It sounded as if someone was moving quietly among the fallen leaves. Then a voice suddenly said, "Good morning, little lady. Are you wandering all alone through the forest?" He took off his bright red headphones, then looked around. From behind a tree, a tall wolf with sleek, shining fur suddenly appeared. But this wolf was not at all like those from the old fairy tales. He had a jacket on his back, and spectacles were upon his eyes. "I'm simply going to visit my dear grandmother," Little Red said, smiling. "He made me a cake. What a coincidence," the wolf said with a sly grin. "I happen to love sweets too." The wolf continued, his voice sweet and gentle. "I know a shortcut right through the forest. If you'd like, I can take you that way." He was looking at the map on his red tablet, but the screen had completely frozen. "I guess there's no internet connection. I know this path by heart," the wolf declared confidently. Red gave a slight shrug of his shoulders. "Well, let's just see exactly where this road is going to take us." At the very beginning, everything was perfectly all right, but then the trees became incredibly dense. The light from the sky slowly began to diminish. All of the sounds of the birds had completely fallen silent. It was only the sound of the wind that was howling. Little Red Riding Hood felt a little nervous, but she didn't let it show. The cunning wolf took the shortest possible path. He managed to reach Grandma's house well before Little Red. He arrived at the door, carefully adjusting his hat, and then knocked quite politely. "Madam Grandmother, I've brought a special package here for you from your grandchild." The grandmother was quite surprised by this, but she was also very delighted. "Oh my, what polite young people we have in this day and age. Come in, my dear child," and he opened the door for me. The wolf had slipped inside, about to complete his plan. A little later, Red also reached Grandma's house. She knocked on the door. From inside, a deep voice came. "Come, my dear, the door is open." Little Red Riding Hood stepped inside, but she immediately sensed that something was very strange. The entire house was dark, all the windows were tightly closed, and Grandma was lying in her bed, but her face looked quite peculiar. "Oh, Grandma, why are your eyes so incredibly big?" "The better to see you with, my dearest darling." "And why are your hands so incredibly, terribly large?" "The better to hug you with, my precious little girl." "But, Grandma, why are your teeth so incredibly sharp?" At that very moment, the wolf suddenly threw off the blanket. "The better to eat you with, my dear." Little Red Riding Hood then let out a terrified scream. But right at that moment, a sound came from the cupboard. "Stop right there, you fake wolf." The cupboard door suddenly opened. Grandma burst out, a rolling pin in her hand. The wolf, in utter surprise, jumped right where he stood. He was laughing out loud with booming guffaws. Grandma then chased the wolf all the way to the front door. "If you ever smell that cake again, don't you dare come anywhere near." The wolf ran away in utter shame. Soon after, the house grew quiet. Grandmother brewed some tea. Red had carefully arranged the cakes upon the table. They had then sat down together. Red then said, "Grandma, let's take a selfie." We used to knit for keepsakes, now we just take selfies," Grandma said, laughing. Her laughter carried far out beyond the forest. Then,